It's Saturday here in Lyon. The first day of the Lyon eSport tournament has ended, and it's midnight. I'm here with one of the players who has played both tournaments, both the Trackmania Grand League and today the Lyon eSport tournament. If you start with today, the Lyon eSport tournament, how did it go for you? How did you feel during the event?
So yeah, I played the LES, which was a tournament that I planned on playing later on. Like, first of all, I was like, I'm not gonna play because I wanted to fully focus on Grand League. But then I was like, okay, maybe I should try, and I tried. So I put like 15, 20 hours maybe into practicing, and it went surprisingly well overall. I think I played quite alright, not perfectly, of course. I made quite a lot of like smaller mistakes here and there, especially on the tech maps. I think Bergie hates me for that, but I think overall it was still an experience to be happy about, and a result to be happy about. So I'm looking back at it with a positive mindset, and I'm glad that I did it. And yeah, maybe in the future I'll try it again. If there's something like this, I'll probably try again, because why not?
Yeah, so it was actually fun to actually play the event, try to compete. Maybe your first time really playing a tech tournament with tech maps against real tech pros, right?
True. Yes, it was the first one indeed, and I held up surprisingly well against most of the players. However, obviously you need to look at the amount of practice that people put into. People could be a lot faster, of course, but yeah, I think overall it was still alright. I could set some good rounds, so it's a good sign that I can also be fast on tech, but I need to go faster, obviously. Tech is my weakest style, it's obvious. But it gave me some confidence that I can do it if I want to. And yeah, I think if I keep grinding tech, I could maybe get even faster and compete with the best in the future.
It's Saturday here and the day has ended. Is it somewhat, are you happy with the result you got? Are you sad that you maybe are not in the stage? Or what feeling are you left with? Is it more like, do you even have a feeling because you didn't maybe know what to expect?
I don't really have too many negative feelings about LES. I'm overall happy with how it went. Of course, getting to the stage was close. I almost made it, so that was, of course, something to be sad about. But overall, the biggest goal was Grand League. I got to the stage, I got 6th, which is an amazing result. So LES was a good bonus. I did well, so I'm not really looking back being like, oh yeah, I could have been better or something. It's not really like this, so I'm positive overall, so that's a good thing.
Yeah, you mentioned this is not your main goal here. The main goal was the Trackmania Grand League, coming in as seed number 2. You essentially placed 6th there, but take us through your matches. How did it go to play backstage before you eventually got to the stage?
Yeah, so the backstage matches, they were all over the place.
Yeah.
The backstage matches, they started off a bit rough. I had a couple good rounds, couple bad ones. It was a bit of a mixed bag. And I found myself being always there with the pace, but I was never really like leading or anything, so I was always a bit chasing, but I was never gone, so the chance was always there to do some damage. So the first semi-final I sadly didn't make it, so I had to step it up for the second one, and yeah, then I clutched it out in that insane round, or rather in that insane ending. I mean, I still can't comprehend what really happened. It was, looking back at it, there were so many planets aligned in one line for me. If I don't know, it was crazy. Like, one of the moments I will definitely never forget in my Trackmania career. Never had something like this before. It was such a crazy comeback if you look at it. Very sad for Tween though. I mean, gotta give him that. He was really upset, understandably, because he didn't deserve it. I think going out like this is terrible. It's really bad. So yeah, it was a real roller coaster of events for me. And on the one side, it's kind of cool that it went that way, because you really get to experience the true cup mode thing, the true experience, like you really feel it from the start to the very end. So it's nice to really play that way, to make it exciting till the very last round, to the very last corner, in fact. But yeah, it was nice for sure. And then afterwards I played on stage, which was a very cool experience as well. I had a lot of fun. Pressure wasn't really there because I reached my goals, and I knew that fighting these really good players is going to be incredibly difficult. You name them, you have all those great players that have been around for so long, and I've been among them, so beating them was of course something that would be a dream, you know, beating all of them. It's a dream, but in the end, it was nice competing, and my match was okay. I was too slow. That was the biggest mistake, or well, not the biggest mistake, but rather the biggest flaw I have. I was just too slow. So that's something to work on for season 2, obviously. But I think overall it was still a good experience. I had fun, and I'm not upset at all. So overall, super positive. Both LES and TMGL, a weekend to not be forgotten.
Yeah, do I take mistake when I looked you from the audience to the stage? And it looked like you enjoyed yourself. You almost looked relaxed. But what was feeling inside? Was it relaxed, or did you feel some nerves, feel some tension? It was the major tournament of the year.
I mean, as I said, I was kind of relaxed. I didn't feel too much pressure. Of course, playing on stage, it's crazy. It's a crazy, overwhelming feeling when you have all these people cheering for you, or just being like, you know, you have the noise. That's just the biggest thing, you know. You have the noise. And you have people screaming whenever someone makes a mistake, or when something exciting happens and people are like, whoa, something's happening, you know? And you notice that as a player yourself. Maybe you play with HUD off, cars off, you don't notice a lot, but then you hear the crowd. And you can't turn off the crowd, right? It's not possible. So I think that's a thing that you can't have anywhere else, and it's a really nice feeling. I told to myself I could have played all day long on stage. I told that to Kappa as well after the match. I was like, yeah, I had so much fun. Despite the last place in the match, I got 6th. I mean, doesn't matter too much to me. I had fun, and that's what matters.
I mean, people that know your history in Trackmania know that you are the best commentator that I have ever seen in Trackmania. So therefore, you have a smart head. How would you analyze the overall Trackmania Grand League feel and how it played out? Are you surprised by some things? Are you positive, negative? What do you take out of Trackmania Grand League's other players' performances?
I mean, from a caster's perspective, I think it's easier to look back because you really get to see everything. And from a player's perspective, when you're backstage, you don't get to see everything. That's the thing. But a big surprise, to be honest, is how Caro stomped everyone. I mean, that was almost disgusting, not gonna lie. I was backstage with Kappa when the winner bracket final played, and we were out of words because Carl was like 40, 50 points ahead at some point of big names. How? Yeah. You know, we were asking ourselves how. So that was a big surprise. And also a big surprise was Scrappy, in my opinion, in the grand final. So there were stories to be written in the Grand League overall, and that's kind of the goal of the Grand League as well. It's something that Hylas always emphasizes on, that you need to have these stories that people can look back to. I think we've had these stories. I think I also wrote a story myself with the overtake on Tween in that match. But yeah, I think overall it was a good league. The grand final was pretty exciting to watch as well. It wasn't that unbalanced with Carl. Yeah. So Carl, I think, actually gave them a chance a little bit. So it was a bit more exciting than the matches before. Also the backstage matches, they were just dominated by Carl. He won 9 rounds in a row in one match, or eight or 9 rounds in a row. Like, how, you know? It's almost boring. Yeah. So yeah, I think overall it was a great league, and I for myself am happy with how it went. So it bodes well for a good future for season 2 and for the upcoming seasons. People enjoyed it overall, I believe. There were a lot of people in the audience who came just for Trackmania. And I think that's a good sign. It's a sign that people have interest, and if you promote the game properly, if you market it properly, if you have a league like this with the best players, you can get somewhere. So I'm glad to be part of it as well, you know. I've been part of it in the beta season as a caster. I did a bit of behind the scene, like map testing and stuff like that. So I was always part of it, but now being real part of it, you know, as a player is a nice experience. So I'm very hyped for season 2 in the new game as well. So that's another thing to not be forgotten. And yeah, I'm super hyped for how it will go.
Yeah, you bring up the new game, the announcement before the stage matches being played out there. If I go back before even it was announced, how much did you know about it? If I was a game developer, I would contact players like you, I would contact players like Carl Jr. Just to hear how can we improve Trackmania. Did you hear about it before the announcement? And if so, what?
We didn't know a lot. We knew that something's gonna happen, but we didn't know a lot of details. So we were all a bit excited of, you know, what's actually gonna come.
Yeah.
And I've been quite positively surprised about what I've seen on stage. The trailer, or rather the teaser, it was more of a teaser, and the mapping stuff that Hylas did on stage, it got me really excited because I really liked what I see. It's a good concept. I think Trackmania needs that nowadays. It's 2020. I feel like Trackmania has always been kind of out of date in some way. Not in terms of gameplay, but in terms of appearance and in terms of how it was promoted to people. So I think it's a good step forward. They really need it. I believe Trackmania really needs that sort of revival that they're trying to do now with rebranding, sort of. They even changed the logo. Like this old Trackmania logo, it has been there forever. Ever since the first Trackmania. Now they changed it. So I think it's a sign that they really want to go forward and move with the time. So I'm excited to see what they have in plans. We talked to Hylas backstage after the announcement. He told us that there are going to be some interesting things to keep the game fresh, to always bring new content, to keep the people in the game, instead of just relying on the community of doing everything, which is what has been happening for the last 2 eternities, it feels like. So I'm very excited. I feel like it has to work, because if it doesn't work, then all the work with Grand League has maybe been for nothing. So also for myself as a player, as a content creator, as a personality in the game, you hope that it's gonna work. You know, I'm not gonna make a big secret out of it, but when you're in a position like me, you kind of make a business out of it. You know. So if the game works, it also works for you.
Exactly.
So we're obviously hoping that it's going to work out and that the game is going to be a success. And feedback is going to be vital from the people and from the players and from competitive people and from everyone. Like, they need the feedback, because for Nadeo it's new territory. They have been trying to be innovative in 2006 with ESWC, with Nations ESWC. Ever since they tried, but it didn't really work. Like, you have Mania Planet, which was an ambitious project, but it didn't really appeal to the public. And I think now they realized, and they went ahead with Trackmania, with the new game. And I think it's a big step. It's a big leap, but it's needed, and I hope it's gonna work.
It seems like at the moment we don't have too much information. It's just called Trackmania. We just saw one environment. You are a player in Trackmania's history that masters the most environments, maybe likes to play the different environments. Do you think it's the new game should have different environments? Should it stick to one so it's easy? What is your feeling here?
I mean, you mentioned a good point. I was a player who always played all environments.
Yeah.
And I still say I'm a player who plays all environments. I think that's never going to change, because I love playing all the environments. I love the variety that the game has. But I've come to the realization that Stadium is the only environment that has the competitive advantage and the potential to become a competitive environment. And that's why I'm playing this. That's why I'm trying to get into the scene as a player. And I believe they should stick to Stadium. It has a formula that works. The physics are great. It's extremely competitive. It's extremely difficult to master. And it brings everything that makes a good racing game, in my opinion. So if everything is packed together nicely with a good game, it can only work. So I'm not saying the other environments are bad, but there is a clear difference between Stadium and the other environments. I noticed that myself as well. The other environments, they're fun, they're casual, and they do have some sort of competitiveness, but not as much as Stadium. Because if you want to be good at Stadium, you need to learn a lot more than if you want to be good at Canyon, for example. Yeah. So that's what makes it much more interesting. In Canyon, you can be fast, easier than in Stadium. Because in Stadium, as I said, you need to master dirt, full speed, tech, this, the slow motion block, what we've seen in the new Trackmania, bumper, no grip, this. So you don't have that in Canyon, for example, or in Valley, or any other environment. So that's the secret that Stadium has, and I'm glad that Nadeo is sticking to it instead of making a complete new thing, which is, I think, too risky at the moment. Especially when you look at how many Stadium fans you have out there. People who play Stadium, who embrace Stadium for 10 years or even more. It would be a shame to just let that slip through and start something new, because you never know how that's going to get picked up. So I think it's good that they take Stadium, repack it, make it new, and make it, work. I think it's a promising thing on paper. So let's see how it's going to work. it's gonna be difficult for sure for Nadeo because they're still a small studio, but they learned a lot. And with Ubisoft and with other games being an example nowadays with free to play and everything, I think they can learn a lot and apply it to Trackmania. I can see a lot of ways to make it work with the game. It's just a matter of how they're gonna, make it happen.
Yeah.
Let's see.
I'm gonna ask you as a player, you have played this game for such a long time. If there is maybe gonna be different car mechanics, will it feel like maybe learning a new game over again? Is it still gonna be like you have an advantage over, let's say, a player that joined 1 year ago that maybe doesn't master Trackmania like nowadays? And if so, will that motivate you, demotivate you, that you maybe have to put in these grinding hours that you did maybe the first years again?
I think it's an advantage if you've been in the scene for a long time. I've told to myself, like, just after the announcement, you have all these new blocks and all the new mechanics, and if you're someone who can learn fast in the current game, it's an advantage.
Yeah.
Because you apply the car physics that you know to new blocks. So you have the general knowledge about the game, you just need to apply it to new stuff. So I think, like myself, I think I'm gonna be in an advantage because I can learn things fast. I'm a good fast learner, and I've proven that in TDCs and endurance races and stuff like that. So I think the new game is gonna be a good head start for players like me. But people will catch up eventually,
Yeah.
and even if you're new, there is a chance you will always get to the top. When everything's new, a new player might have something that the others don't have. So you never know, but obviously, players who have been in the game for 10 years, they will have an advantage no matter what. No matter what you do, someone who knows how the game works, someone who has the game sense, is always going to be in an advantage no matter what you do.
You mentioned learning quick, you mentioned learning having advantage. They will announce it or release it the 5th of May.
Yep.
Then we have the big competition of the year coming up, the Serrator Cup. Is it like you're more hyped now that you maybe see that you have this advantage of learning new again, that maybe Serrator Cup, you can maybe even win it now?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, as I said, I think I'm going to be in a good position to learn everything in the new game, especially because bound with the stream, I kind of have to play the game to bring it to the people. So I think there's going to be a lot of input for me to take in and then put on the tracks. And I think it's going to be, like for the Raider Cup, we got to see what he comes up with. It's the Raider after all, and it can be anything. It can be anything he can comes up with. But I think having a complete new game is going to be a good thing for me and for other players who are similar to how I play. So let's see what's going to happen. I'm actually excited, and it's also the reason why I want to play the Raider Cup, because it's a fresh start, and I'm hoping for the best, not necessarily win. I mean, you always have a Carl Jr., you always have someone who's going to be faster, but I think the chances will be bigger than ever before, in my opinion. So gotta make use of it. Gotta put a lot of hours in, that's the plan. That's also the plan with Nordavind and everything, so we knew it was going to happen, we knew everything, so we planned it in advance, and I'm prepared for it mentally. I will do it, I will put the hours in, and see what kind of damage I can do.
Last question for me is late night here. Who is eventually going to win it tomorrow? 6 players left. We have 3 from Holland, and we have obviously Carl Jr., and then we have someone else.
Someone else, yeah.
Coco.
Indeed. It's going to be difficult to say, honestly, because I haven't really looked outside of my own matches, because I played like a billion matches today. I've been playing from 11 to 6:30 or something continuously. So it was a difficult day for me until it eventually ended with me bonking into a pillar in the finalist mode, and I died. A bit salty about it, but not too much. But yeah, I think it's easy to say Carl Jr. is going to take it, because he's going to be someone who will fight for it. He's a player who always wants to win. He has this winner mentality, and I think that's going to get him pretty far compared to some other players. He has the stage advantage as well compared to some others. So I can see Spam do well. He surprised me, actually. He played really well in his matches. He played only one spot placed one spot faster than me in the time attack seeding. He got 11th, I got 12th. So pace-wise, we were similar at first, but he was obviously the better player on tech. So that's what got him so far, and a bit more luck as well. But yeah, I think Caro, Spam, and I don't know who else could do some damage. I've played against Coco. He's pretty fast as well. Mathix is fast. Dutchy, what is he in?
Yeah, Dutchy is in.
Dutchy is in. Bran is in. It could be anyone for the other positions. So I don't know. I'm gonna say Spam is gonna win because why not?
Why not?
Why not? I'm just gonna say Spam is gonna win. Yeah.
There we have it. If you're watching this before the grand final, well, then you can tune in and watch. If after, let's see, did riolu pick the right one? Did he just go big brain or yeah?
Or not?
Thank you so much for taking time to do this
pleasure.
interview. It's late here, but still,
Yep.
you're able to take your time.
Of course.
Appreciate it.
Yep.
See you at the next event.
Bye bye.
Assembly. Gamers Assembly.
Gamers Assembly?
Yeah, of course.
Gamers Assembly.
Bye bye.
Bye bye.